Good evening. My parents have always taught me in life to do the right thing by the taxation office, especially Dad. Dad said they'd always come after you and they always get their man, the taxation office. So when I received a $5,000 debt from Centrelink, I was quite concerned about it. So I ended up contacting the tax office about my account and to see if everything was okay there. And the taxation office got back to me and said everything was fine with my account. So I got back to Centrelink and I was informed by a member of Centrelink that this debt was called a Robodebt, and Centrelink were going to be paying me this Robodebt money back. So paying this money back has stopped me getting my loans and from Centrelink, and it's caused me and my family a lot of grief and heartache over this matter, and I want to know what the government's going to do about it.
Andrew Bragg.
Well, one of the things that we've tried to do is to bring the budget back to balance so that we could deal with economic shocks like the coronavirus. Now, that has been achieved, at least before we went into the crisis, we were at budget balance. Now, we always try and spend taxpayers' money wisely because the government has no money of its own. All the money the government has, it raises through the taxes. So the income averaging or the Robodebt scheme was one idea we had to try and ensure that taxpayers' money was spent wisely. But as you know, that was a flawed scheme and has now been withdrawn and people are going to be refunded. And it's also before the courts.
It wasn't just flawed, it was unlawful.
Well, that's right. So that's now before the courts, but the people will be refunded and no doubt compensated in some form.
But this was really a question about something beyond that, which is the hardship that those people have suffered as a result of that whole system. There hasn't really been anything said by the government about what would be done to address that.
Well, that's because it's before the courts and the Attorney-General's been quite clear that because it is before the courts, it is difficult to make... So did you want to...
Well, yeah, the head of the law firm representing the class action has said that if the government were to say sorry, because we're talking about not just hardships, people have lost their lives over this. There needs to be some type of at least moral culpability. The head of that law firm has said that if the coalition were to say sorry, if the government were to say sorry, they wouldn't be using that in court. So why haven't you said sorry?
Well, it's before the courts.
But the head of the law firm has said that they won't use the government saying sorry in the court as some type of admission of guilt. The law firm representing the class action has said that.
Well, there could be another class action.
OK, that's all right.
Jim
Glad
Chalmers.
that's so easy for you. For me, if I worked for a government where people lost their lives because of a robo-debt, I would feel very terrible about it.
Well, I think after a government has been sprung illegally taking money from people like Glenn, the least they could do is apologise. And there's a legal reason why they're not, but there's also the main reason they're not is because the three people with the fingerprints on this, Scott Morrison was an original architect of this debacle, Christian Porter, who's now the Attorney-General, and of course Stuart Robert. And that's why there's no apology for this, because it goes right to the top of the government. And for some years now, we've been saying to Andrew and his colleagues, this is unfair. It turned out it was also illegal. It's ruined some people's lives. Some people have taken their lives as a consequence of this debacle. And when you include it with all of the mistakes that this government's made, Robodebt, JobKeeper, Ruby Princess, sports rorts, not getting the bushfire relief money out the door, there's a pattern of behaviour here which isn't just some debating point that we have in Parliament. It's actually hurting real people in real communities like Beenleigh.
Nyadol, I can hear you trying to get in. If you could keep it brief so we can get to the next question, that would be great. Thank you.
Am I allowed to get in?
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, if I can just for a minute, try and take the politics out of here and focus on what has happened to people. I think by 2017, it was beginning to get clear that there was some flaw in the system. And then that was stopped just last year. So there are people who have had to go through this whole process for years, and this is not just about money. There is the emotional impact that people would have gone through, the anxiety they would have felt, especially when some of the initial letters that were coming out actually had the federal police logo on them and were threatening to put people in jail. So if we put the politics aside and we accept that there was a group of people that were really wronged and put in a stressful situation over something that has now turned out to be unlawful, I do not see why we should not be apologizing. Because what happened here is that the system was kind of using artificial intelligence, just start throwing out essentially debts that were not real. These computers will never apologize, but it might go a long way for the human beings in this situation to apologize to this group of people and say, we're sorry that this has cost you so much pain. Sometimes we just need to take the politics out and just look at the people. People have really been through a tough time because of a debt that they did not owe in the first place. I think a simple apology brings back some dignity into this conversation.